Who on earth is that at this hour?
Brother?
Sherlock, what are you doing here?
These are the gravest of times, Mycroft. May I come in?
Of course. Here, for the nerves.
Of course you know I like brandy.
Your observational skills are not exclusive to you, Sherlock. Whilst the war may have heightened your senses...
I'm not here to talk about the war, Mycroft.
Then what?
James Moriarty.
Ah, I see.
You are undoubtedly aware of what happened at the Chammersmith Manor last year?
I am aware, brother. You know how I like to keep tabs.
Quite so. Now he is making noticeable moves throughout London in its infrastructure. He is manipulating us into a situation of which we cannot hope to recover from.
You are correct. He is weakening our economy as we speak.
You know.
Don't insult my intelligence, Sherlock. That was always my job with you.
Mycroft.
James Moriarty has been useful in the eyes of the government for some time. He began as an investor, but became good friends with some high-ranking politicians.
But you have been keeping tabs on him.
I have indeed.
And you didn't mention anything before.
We were not on speaking terms, Sherlock. Would you even read my letter?
Perhaps not.
You are intending on facing Moriarty yourself?
In time, yes. For now I must work to dismantle his empire.
Be careful, brother. From the whispers I hear, Moriarty is not a man to be trifled with.
I have already trifled in his business, Mycroft. I cannot help what happens now. Thank you for the drink, and the talk.
Oh dear, Sherlock.
Holmes told me very little of what happened that night. However, upon his return, I was waiting for him. He explained his conversation with Mycroft and how dire the situation was. It was very serious. However, Sherlock remained confident that we would succeed. It was only a few minutes after that there was a knocking at the front door. Mrs. Hudson let her in and sent her straight up. The woman was Mrs. Warren. She ran a local inn a few streets away from Baker Street, and she was in need of assistance. A man had come into her establishment, seeking a room for a few nights. She had noticed that the man would leave in the night, and upon her awakening, the following morning, he returned to his room. Thinking nothing of it, she went about her business. However, one day she had found a note laying outside her bedroom door, asking for a meal each day and a copy of the latest Daily Gazette, which was to be placed outside the man's door each morning. Mrs. Warren had obliged to this request, but over a few weeks she had grown more and more suspicious of the man, with no knowledge of him at all. Fearing something illegal or dangerous was happening, she decided to come to us in order to get some answers. She left in a hurry, but Holmes and I had a lot to talk about. What do you think about that, Holmes?
Curious, that woman's story. I believe there could be some truth in it.
You think she was lying?
Absolutely not. However, I do believe that she does not know the full truth, and as therefore the story is showing as incomplete.
Possibly.
Of course I'm right, Watson. It's obvious.
Do you want to follow this case so soon, Holmes? Weren't you close to beginning the Moriarty case?
Indeed. However, we shall see which case appears first, Watson.
Well, perhaps we should check your copy of the Daily Gazette.
Excellent idea.
Found anything?
I have.
You have?
Right there, under the article about the woman and her three-legged dog.
Goodness, that could be. What does it mean?
For all Star Watchers, be sure to keep an eye to the sky around 7:30 tonight in the area of Gloucester Place. G. Get your coat, Watson.
It does appear we missed our window of opportunity tonight, Holmes. But it's nearly midnight.
We may have a chance to see this group disbanding, Watson. There are always chances to be taken.
Do you think whoever's at Gloucester Place is in danger?
I think they could be. But, as always, Watson, you cannot be 100% certain until we have more information.
This is very true. What's our plan, Holmes?
If I can, I plan to occupy the room opposite the one inhabited by our mysterious man. That way we can figure what the man in the room is hiding.
Wait, so we're not going to Gloucester Place?
No, Watson. Upon entering the motorcade, I informed the driver to take us to Mrs. Warren's local inn.
But the meeting?
I decided it would be better to take a room at the inn so we could monitor when the man returned.
I wish you would let me in on these changes. Despite the change of plans, Holmes and I arrived at the inn and took a room. How long was he wait, Holmes? It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
I suspect not too long. This mysterious G will return soon.
So he is the man who wrote the newspaper article?
I cannot be entirely sure yet, Watson.
Was that?
Quiet, Watson.
Was it him?
It was a door shutting. I believe so.
Could have been anyone.
That door sound is too close to be a random stranger exiting their rooms for a midnight snack, Watson.
Now what are you doing?
Listening. Shh.
We need to return as soon as possible.
They are on the move again, Watson. He is with another man.
Really? How can you tell?
I, Watson, have ears. I'm also quite skilled in the ability to keep my mouth shut and listen.
Is that an insult?
Merely an observation.
Running to the window. Very subtle, Holmes.
It's not another man. It's a woman.
Can you see them?
The only two people in the street? Yes, I am sure. Now we must follow.
Then we must go.
Quickly, your journal.
My journal?
Quickly, Watson.
Holmes, please stop doing that!
They are clear pages, Watson. Not to worry.
Under the door? What on earth did you do that for?
No time, Watson. We must follow the mysterious G character. Come on.
And so we fled into the night, following the mysterious man of interest. We followed them back to Gloucester Place, thinking that something had to be forgotten. The main point was an old warehouse, recently vacated to make room for its demolition next year. In the following years, those plans were scrapped, for obvious reasons. Nonetheless, now it was time for that story. The air was cold. The atmosphere was colder. Due to the nature of the building, and the lack of natural light penetrating its decaying roof, the floor was still damp from the rain earlier that day. Are you sure we're in the right meeting place?
I am. Watson, this is Gloucester Place.
It looks... well...
Run down?
Aye, quite.
We are definitely in the right spot.
Why so?
Firstly, if you were to meet in secret in hopes of protecting a woman in hiding, then you would want to do so out of the views of the public. They're also close to the venue that she's been kept at, with a variety of escape options should the people the woman is hiding from find them. This is indeed a dangerous business, Watson.
You know more than you say, Holmes.
Only what I have observed and heard thus far.
But you failed to let me know.
Shh, voices.
Very well.
Do you still have your revolver, Watson?
I do, Holmes.
Very good. First we enact the element of surprise. If we succeed, we can hopefully get them to admit the full story to us.
What if they shoot at us first?
Then naturally we duck for cover and you return fire.
Oh, thank you for nominating me to do the shooting.
3, 2, 1, now.
Stop! It's us!
Lestrade!
Put your gun down, Watson. We are allies.
Inspector, what are you doing here?
Detective Leverton here has brought this case to my attention.
Good evening. You must be the famous Sherlock Holmes.
I must be. And yourself?
Detective Jonathan Leverton. I'm a detective from the United States. I'm here to witness we've been trying to hide from a group of dangerous people. And Inspector Lestrade here has been helping me.
Helping you with what?
Keeping them safe.
Like the two individuals at the inn?
You know of them?
Naturally, that's why we are here. We were approached by the keeper of the inn, Mrs. Warren, who asked us to help her figure out the details of the man upstairs.
Oh, I see.
Quite, Lestrade. The keeper had only ever witnessed a man heading into the room. However, upon my observation, he was travelling there with a woman. Was he one of your men? Stupid enough to get caught?
Not one of mine, no.
One of mine, Mr. Holmes. You see...
Shh.
What?
Shh.
What is it, Holmes?
I believe we have been located. Someone else must have managed to deduce your code.
Or followed you here.
Less likely. I'm not nearly as incompetent.
Right, let's do this later. We must figure out who that is before it's too late.
From the sounds of his footsteps, it's a male, roughly 6 foot, give or take. Strong build, injury in the right leg at the age of 8, fishing accident with his father, slight limp. He is heading towards us with certain ease. However, we'll be here within the next 3 minutes. So if anyone can update Watson and I, that would be appreciated.
You get used to it, Leverton.
His description was sound. It sounds like Gorgio.
Who's that?
One of the men I'm keeping the people safe from. He's incredibly dangerous. We must make moves to escape.
Absolutely not.
Pardon, Mr. Holmes.
I agree with Leverton. I'm afraid we must flee.
I do also agree. However, if Giorgiano is able to find us, he may also have ideas on what to locate these two people. This cannot be a coincidence that he has been drawn here. We need to advise a plan to stop him before we can find that woman. Wait!
What is it?
There's a second pair of footsteps, smaller than Giorgiano's, but still male.
How can you tell?
How many times must I repeat myself, Watson? I am skilled at...
Get down!
Oh, goodness.
Is that him?
Giorgino? Yes.
Whoa!
Hang on. He's...
dead.
Can we be sure?
I'm no expert, but the amount of bullet wounds in his chest would indicate that he most likely is.
Well, I am an expert. I can confirm he is dead.
But who did this?
Mrs. Warren. It's good to see you again.
Mrs. Warren?
The woman who alerted us to the man in the room.
So she's killed Gorgiano. Why?
She didn't kill him, Inspector. However, she did bring with her exactly what I needed.
Hello.
Miss Emilia Lucca, I presume.
Know who I am? Oh.
I heard you talking on the other side of the door earlier. For a fugitive, you must really be more careful with the information you reveal in public places.
Well, I'm not exactly used to this life. I've never been a fugitive before.
I understand.
Sorry, Holmes. Who is this?
That's the woman I've been hired to protect.
That's the one who was with the man.
So she killed Gorgiano?
Lestrade, be quiet. Might I suggest that we take this conversation back to the inn?
Yes, please.
Please go on, Miss Lucca.
My name is Emilia Lucca. I'm 26 and I'm from America. I arrived in London 7 weeks ago and have been living in this room since my arrival. Detective Leverton accompanied me and helped me settle in.
So, Leverton was in fact the man who has been staying in those rooms?
No, but he was kind enough to help me over here. But once arriving, we had to split up. The people I'm hiding from would be very interested in learning what I know. So we had to part ways. The man Mrs. Warren saw that night was my husband.
The man you were speaking to earlier?
Yes, we met 6 years ago, married soon after. However, what he failed to inform me was that in his youth, he worked jobs for a secret organization known as the Red Circle. They had come to him with another job. Wanting to flee that life, my husband refused, and so they ordered my execution, payment for his leaving the society. They sent Gorgiano after us. He was one of their most formidable men. Once Gorgiano was in the city, my husband alerted the authorities of his presence, hoping to get him arrested. and we fled.
Unfortunately, it looks like Giorgiano escaped capture.
That's right.
So Gorgiano was hired to kill you?
Yes.
Lestrade, we'd already established this.
But who killed him?
That's not the question we must be asking.
Then what?
It's fine. I do not know. I was on my way inside the building with Mrs. Warren when we heard the gunshots. I feared for my husband, and so I rushed inside. Mrs. Warren wasn't too far behind me, and that's when we came across Gorgiano and yourself.
I did. I killed him.
Darling!
Hello, baby.
You must be Mr. Lucca.
Gennaro Lucca, Mr. Holmes. Pleasure to make your acquaintance at last.
At last.
It did take you a while. I did send for you.
Mrs. Warren.
She was acting on my wishes, sir. She only came to you when I asked her to. I told her the story to tell you. A mysterious man in a room who is never seen, but takes what is left for him. The exact mystery to entice Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson.
Well, I must say I'm impressed, Mr. Lucca. You managed to fool me.
Now you know what it's like, Holmes.
Yes. All right, Lestrade.
Perhaps then, Mr. Lucca, you can fill us in those gaps in your wife's story?
Of course. I was raised in Italy, in a small town I fear none of you have heard of. I love my family very much, but we didn't have a lot of money, and therefore I fell into the wrong crowd, working with the Red Circle.
What is the Red Circle?
It's a criminal organization, founded by a man from England, fed through the country's infrastructure to the father of my town, using young boys like myself to complete tasks and activities for them, using the knowledge that no one sees, hears, or cares for us, even to their advantage. But I wanted more than that life. And so, when I was able to, my first chance, I fled Italy and found myself arriving in America, where I thought the Red Circle could never find me. I settled down, took the name George, and worked on the docks for many years, eventually making my way to New York, where I met Emilia. She was working as a waitress at a bar the workers and I would frequent, and so eventually we grew close. It wasn't long before we fell in love and got married.
Emilia mentioned the Red Circle found you once more.
I was an idiot. I kept in contact with my family, sending letters throughout the years. Never frequently, and never from the same place. Until I met Emilia, and I was so excited that I slipped, and I mentioned my location to them. The Red Circle had intercepted my messages long before.
Then Giorgiano was sent after you.
Yeah. The guy at the very top. An Englishman. He traveled to New York with him to make sure that the job was done, and they were hoping to draw me back into their activities, but that life was behind me, Mr. Holmes, and I wanted to never return. So, once we had the chance, we fled here. Together, I knew the Red Circle would still be after me, so I had to think of a plan fast, so I hid Emilia and tried to draw them out myself. Leverton was a great help in that.
So the G in the newspaper, that was your initial?
Yes, sir. The Red Circle always made us use our first letter initial as a way of identification. I was lucky mine coincided with my name.
And his murder in the warehouse. What happened?
Well, I was on my way to a meeting with Leverton, where he promised to introduce me to the detective he thought would help me the most.
Lestrade.
Exactly. But when I arrived, I found that Giorgiano had already found us, and he attacked me. It wasn't long before I thought, my time is up. In a split-second decision, I used his own weapon to turn on him and shoot him. Tonight I killed a man. And I couldn't feel more regret, even as a member of the Red Circle. Murder was the one thing I could never bring myself to do. Guess I was just a coward.
You are no coward, Gennaro. You are quite brave indeed, laying your safety to the side to protect two detectives you hardly knew. You both are quite brave indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
But with Gorgiano dead, does that mean Gennaro will be charged with his murder?
Lestrade, this is your jurisdiction.
Well, I see no reason to think this wasn't an act of the purest self-defense, so I don't believe you've done anything wrong.
Thank you, Detective.
Thank you, Lestrade.
So, what happens now?
I must return to America, but my leave is nearly up, so I will be questioned of my absence if I don't return soon. But I will keep in contact. Make sure the two of you settle down well here if you want.
That would be lovely. Thank you, Detective.
What is it there you do in London?
I guess you can now find out. Mind you, I know this lovely place for authentic Italian cuisine. Let me pay for your first night out together. It'd be my honour. Holmes and I returned to Baker Street, content with the closure of this heartwarming case. Mr. and Mrs. Lucca had made their way to the location I suggested, and I was sure they would have a lovely night, and a continuous night together. Mrs. Warren allowed them to stay in the inn for free for the following 2 weeks, on the condition that Mr. Warren would look for a job, and the couple would eventually get their own place to live in. It was agreed upon. Leverton returned to New York, and had kept in contact with Holmes and I following the case, even resulting in a follow-up where we would find ourselves in the United States for a case 3 years later. However, that is a story for another day.
It was a kind gesture you performed tonight, Watson.
I'm sure the couple will be very happy together.
Well, if you insist.
Excuse me?
Love is a fashion item, Watson. People can't be too involved with it, or rely too heavily on it. But as long as you allow it to help complement you, instead of making you ugly, then you'll be alright.
And well, those two. How do you think I'll make them look?
I can't be the judge of that, Watson. All I know is that today, the two of them were glowing with excitement of a future together.
What do you think of myself getting into a relationship, Sherlock?
I did not care, Watson, as long as it did not impact the quality of your work.
You believe my work is of quality?
Well, I have kept you around, haven't I?
I suppose you're right. You have to wonder, though, whether the two of them had knowledge of that entire Red Circle organization would want them dead so badly. I mean, for heaven's sakes, they sent a man across 3 countries just to kill him.
You're right.
Sorry?
My God! Driver, stop!
Holmes! Holmes! Where on earth are you going, Holmes? That was the last time I was to see of Holmes that day, him disappearing into the crowd. I returned to Baker Street and waited for any words on his whereabouts, worried that Holmes himself had become one of the many cases he loved to solve. Holmes did not return until the next morning, drenched from a recent downpour, deep in thought. This is the point in the narration where I reveal that what happened to the local couple after the case was a lie. Moriarty visited them shortly after departure, and Holmes was too late.
That was a nice suggestion from Dr. Watson.
A regular of ours, I'll assume.
Oh, definitely. Oh my God!
Gennaro, you weren't going to insult me by staying in London now, were you?
Who the hell are you? How did you get in here?
Gennaro. He's armed.
My God. It's you!
The leader of the Red Circle? Yes. Your time is up.
Emilia, get out! Quick!
No!
Mr. and Mrs. Lucca had returned home from dinner at 7 p.m. This would be later confirmed by Mrs. Warren, who said she could see and hear them laughing and enjoying themselves all the way in their room, where they would retire for the night. Holmes would arrive a mere 5 minutes later. The Luccas had returned to their room to find a stranger in their midst, waiting in the darkness for their return. Holmes described the scene as a calculated attack upon his arrival. He found their bodies laying on the bed together, holding hands, almost as if the killer had placed them in a way they could spend their rests together. There was only one bullet hole in each, one in each of their chests, perfect hits straight through the heart. Quite literally, lovers with broken hearts. But that wasn't the last thing left in the room. Although the assailant had escaped Holmes's reach, he did leave something for him to find.
Mr. and Mrs. Lucca, you're in...
Too late, Sherlock.
Moriarty. You've killed them.
I did warn you to stay out of business. This cannot be allowed to continue.
Well, you've got me.
No. Not now, Sherlock. I still have plans for you.
That is an unwise decision.
I disagree.
I will do everything in my power to stop you.
I know you will. But you and I are on the same side of the coin.
I very much doubt that.
You have clearly not researched into who I am, Sherlock. Perhaps I need to pay your brother a visit to help remind you.
You leave Mycroft alone.
Why? He's an old friend of mine. As are you. But your mind, filled with war, the victories and the battles, you care little for anybody.
I have changed.
Since the war, yes. But I imagine everything else is a blur to you now. Your precious Watson, Mrs. Hudson, Lestrade, all of them pointless. No matter what you do or where you go, there's no shadow safe from me.
So you think?
Your games are at an end, Sherlock. I will be glad to make it so.
I will see you again.
I agree. I'm planning on it.
Holmes called upon Inspector Lestrade, and he arrived at the police to clean up the crime scene. Holmes was quiet for a while after this. He said he knew Moriarty from the past, and that he must find out what truly happened. What truly happened is something that would surprise even Sherlock Holmes.